All right, Yellowjackets. It is time. It's been a while, but it's time to huddle up because it's back after like 2 years and we got to talk about it.
Buzz, buzz, buzz. We literally I'm pretty sure the last episode we did after season two ended, like thinking about next season, this current season, I think we were like, God, I really hope it's not 2025. And then it was like, I think it was right when the strike started. So we're like, it doesn't look good. But honestly, I'm glad because I almost feel like at least the interviews I've read, they all say how it was nice to kind of refresh and go back and like have more time with it. Same with like Stranger Things. I feel like a lot of projects that I mean, as much as I hate the wait, it really does benefit them to go back to like them. And I think they said that like season two kind of got to the point where they were trying to like almost satisfy the viewers in addition to like their plans. And so they said that this was like kind of a back to basics season where they're now like focusing on what they think is cool. And so like their whole thing in the writers' room was like, but is it a banger? And that was like
Yeah.
something that they used as like that was the test for everything. They were like, yeah, it's good, but is it a banger? Like of a plot or whatever. So I feel pretty good about it. And I think the first two episodes are really great and has some things I expected, some things I didn't, but I'm so fucking happy to be back and diving into this shit.
Agreed. And luckily, they don't have the same sort of issues that like Stranger Things have, where they're all kids and now the kids are growing up. Like they started the
Yeah.
story as them all being in high school. So really
Hmm.
now it's more just the props department or makeup and stuff to make them keep them looking young, which
Yeah, I
I'm
mean they
sure they'll
definitely
be
look a
able to
little
do.
older, but it also works because like I mean the first like episode, like even though they're like young girls, they look fucking terrifying and like they've been out in the wilderness. So I feel like it's okay if they look a little older by that point. They've seen some shit, a lot of shit.
Yeah, they don't have their
Yeah.
skin care, they don't have their
People say
routine.
they don't have their skin. I was like, I'm sure some of them don't. But yeah, no, I honestly am just like so excited because I feel like I was excited for the lighter tone this season already. I think you could tell it's summer, obviously, but with the time jump, which they kind of did last season for winter, but I feel like winter was pretty fucking bleak, man. I don't know about you, but like I love season two, but I was like, God, that was fucking depressing episode after episode. Like it was pretty dark, and now I feel like it's so bright and sunny that you're almost like, did they fucking not remember what happened to Javi at the end of last season? Like, come on, guys, that was pretty fucked up. Everyone's like, "Oh, this is so great. We have a farm and we have pets and like animals that we're raising to eat." And I was just like, "Wow." I'm very happy for them though. Kudos to them. They've had like 6 months to work on it. So just glad that they're not all like, "So are we gonna kill ourselves or what?" Like, they're actually all like kind of not worried about getting rescued at this point, which is kind of when I think it's the most interesting that
Yeah,
I've been
when
waiting for.
yeah, and just to kind of get this out of the way up front, we're essentially going to be talking about these first two episodes uh, as one thing. Because
Hmm.
how can you watch one episode and not immediately watch the second episode? So,
100%. I don't know anybody who has that kind of restraint. I've watched them like on repeat since they came out. So good.
yeah, yeah, like we have the opening scene of them doing kind of a, make us think that they're hunting, but they're actually just bored and playing games.
But it looks like
Uh,
they're hunting Mari, which is like so funny for the fans. Like anyone who's like a super fan of the show, like online, it's like been established for a very long time that like Mari is Pit Girl. That's why they're making her like so annoying that we're
yeah,
gonna be like, oh, cool. But I honestly was like, I don't care at this point who Pit Girl is, but I just thought it was great that they opened that. It's like, haha, we are on Reddit too. And I just loved there was a couple of those nods in this episode, so I'll mention them when they show up. But yeah, that was like starting off with one, and I was like, oh shit, they're doing this during the summer? Badass. Cause like Shauna, although she's playing a game, I think Shauna, young Shauna, really fucking sells the fact that this could be the fucking warring clans that we talked about like last season is
yeah.
something that could happen.
She's not playing two-hand touch. She's playing tackle.
Yeah, and then biting. But I mean, she was a biter last season, and now she's just like, I don't know. For me, Shauna has just like young Shauna has always been like a standout, I think, and she's like basically the main character of the whole show in both timelines. But Young Shauna is just like unhinged this season, and I'm so pumped because I think she's going to become more powerful the more unhinged she becomes. And I cannot wait to be like justifying everything that she's doing because I don't care. I just am all for it. Her
Yeah,
rage is like so relatable in different
I'm really
ways,
excited
obviously.
for young Shauna this season because I feel like we are going to see like the the origin of crazy adult Shauna. Like when adult Shauna has her moments where like she holds someone at gunpoint and then threatens them, and those are my favorite scenes in the entire show.
The best.
Like I feel like we're gonna get young Shauna really building the foundation of that really dark I will fuck you up place. Like
Exactly, which is all we want. And maybe she'll actually get like nominated for an Emmy this year. Or this time because she got missed out and she did some fucking like really heartbreaking shit in season two and even season one. So like, let's go because this is gonna be just getting worse from here on out. But yeah, I mean, honestly, the whole first like both episodes, I was like, all right, so Teen Shauna is just like she's going all in. She doesn't give a fuck anymore. Like she's choosing violence every day. And I'm like, I'm very happy for her because she's had a lot of shit to deal with. Like her and
and
Travis are the two people who have suffered the most probably in the
well,
wilderness.
and it makes a little bit more sense why she was so protective of her journals in season
Yeah.
one. Like she probably writing some shit, not just we ate people, but she's like, here's what I
Her
want to do to
openings,
these people. Like
the comparison and the cutting back and forth to like Van telling the story about sacrifices and miracles, and then Shauna being like, these fucking bitches don't know anything about sacrifices. I cannot stand them. I'm basically wanting to murder them. You know, I'm like, I get it. Like, fucking for real. It's crazy.
I,
So
I,
I'm
oh,
excited to see. Like, I feel like she's gonna lose it. She's already. I mean, her in episode one, her and Mari are just going head to head, and I was like, I honestly just don't give a fuck about Mari to the point where I was like, she's just annoying, and she's always talking shit, and she could not back that up. I know for sure. And the fact that Shauna finally like calls her on it, and then is like, just fucking give me a reason, I'd be like. A smart bitch would fucking back off, but no, she like goes all in and then it does not work out for her. I'm surprised Shauna didn't murder her. I was kind of hoping she would.
yeah.
Because her line early on was like, I can't believe we didn't eat that bitch first. I was like, I love Shauna. She's
Well then,
great.
and then when she spits in her food, I was like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, Shauna, get it.
And then
But
just the fact that Mari like does it, it's like so funny. And then she runs off but it's like, I love that everyone's just like, yeah, don't let her ruin the night. Because they're also like, yeah, she fucking sucks. Okay. We all know. She definitely, I mean, everybody kind of sucks in their own way. But like, I thought it was funny. Another little nod to the audience, I guess, related to Shauna was like, and we can talk about this too, because she's kind of a character more in two, but Melissa the backwards cap blondie who's like
oh, that's
working
her
with her
name,
as the
Melissa.
butcher.
Okay.
Yeah, she's working with her as the butcher, and she says that thing about how Mari's so dumb. I heard she chipped her teeth on her tooth on a vibrator. And I'm like, that's so great. And then she's like, Shauna just goes like, what do you have like an actual personality now? And that line is like totally for people who are fans who like would say online, like, she's just like got no personality, just sitting in the background. She's one of those people. But I'm like, they'll probably like include her in. They keep adding new people in the background. I don't know how you
Yeah.
feel about that, but I'm actually excited with the fact that Melissa could be like seems like a way more important character than just your average rando.
Yeah.
But maybe she won't last long because Crystal's shirt certainly didn't. You know, just a couple episodes, I feel like.
And that's one of the unanswered questions, or I think it's unanswered. We don't know what happened to her body, right?
No, that was one of our things is like we should put it on our bingo card if we want to make one for season three is like do they find Crystal's body? Some people still think she's alive, and I'm like, I really don't think so. But I mean,
Just
hey,
alive and covered in shit.
yeah,
Like,
like I'm like, I mean, what is she crawling away like at a glacial speed? She survived the winter with no food and covered in poop. Like I don't know. I think it doesn't make sense. So I'm not on board with it. But also, I imagine they would have found her body when it like cleared up, but maybe something ate her. I don't know. I have a feeling that's one of my things for season three is I'm wondering when and if they will find out about Crystal and Misty, or if they'll find also out that Misty destroyed the black box. Because, like, I kind of was thinking about it. I don't even know if they know right now in the adult timeline, because I feel like they would for sure try to kill her, or like they would just be way meaner to her. They're about the same level of mean to her in the adult timeline as they are to her in the teen timeline in the wilderness. So it's like, I feel like it would be a bit more It's already drastic, but like it would be 10 times worse if she had actually like admitted to it. So I do kind of feel like that'll be coming up later.
That would be a good plot point to bring back in the adult timeline.
That's what I'm
You
saying,
know,
yeah. Because I don't think that
like
I feel like they would be acting worse. They're already worse to her, but like 10 times worse, don't you think?
yeah, like that
And it's more
that's that
interesting.
that's some conflict that I want to see Christina Ricci like have her Emmy moment.
Yeah, because it's also like that's the timeline where it feels like she's at least a little bit closer with them in that timeline, even though they still ignore her, as Elijah Wood slash Walter points out multiple times that they they don't really care and they're not really good friends because they only ask her for stuff when they need. But I mean, it also leads to some great Misty stuff. These two
Oh
episodes
yeah.
being wasted all the time, but yeah, I don't know. I think that's gonna happen. I don't know if it'll be this season, maybe that's next season or like maybe end game, but like I just feel like that conflict is too good to ignore.
Yeah, it's huge.
But
So
maybe they
yeah,
do find out about Crystal in the teen timeline because I feel like nobody else really liked Crystal. So like that seems like something they could get over with her. I mean, they'd still be like, you killed somebody, but they also know that in the adult timeline. She's like, well, it was practical, you know?
yeah.
So she's not afraid for them to know that she's a murderer now. So maybe they are like more comfortable with the fact because like, oh yeah, we know that you accidentally, or maybe they think she really did just kill Crystal.
Yeah.
Pretty
It,
guilty if you're yelling, I'll kill you, and then they die
yeah.
of their own accord.
You mentioned how like the whole mood is a lot lighter, lighthearted, it's springtime. It threw me off in the very beginning when it shows like their camp and stuff and they have their huts and everything. I'm just like,
Yeah.
this looks really nice actually. Like
I know.
it
I was like, this
seems
isn't
very
so
just like
bad.
pleasant and enjoyable. They have ducks and rabbits that they're eating and stuff. It's like, man, the winter sucks, but spring, you could Airbnb that.
And it's actually better than last year if you think about like, okay, well, maybe it's like we were talking about at the beginning, like how they've kind of given up hope of getting rescued. So like that was really what stopped them last season from like the summertime and preparing for like winter. It was kind of like a, oh shit, I guess we're not getting rescued and now it's too late. They tried to hunt, but like really that was all they could do. And so that's why it was so bad. So I think they're like feeling better overall because they're like, hey, we're gonna be more prepared this time. Like we have our own shelters. We are like living off the land with like we're growing our own food, blah blah blah. We have all the little pets that we're raising that are gonna be so sad when you have to kill them. But that's fine. Like Mortimer the duck, I will literally cry if he dies. But
Natalie's doing a pretty good job leading all of them.
yeah, but also I feel like she's definitely not because it's funny. She's like having to deal with Shauna, who basically acts like how Natalie used to act, which was like, fuck it, I don't want to be a part of that weird shit. Leave me alone.
Hmm.
And now she has to deal with it on the receiving end, so it's kind of funny. I'm wondering if this will be the season for young Nat to get more cynical and angry and like kind of match her older Nat, adult Nat energy. Because Juliette Lewis was a little bit more nihilistic and kind of more like rough around the edges than the Nat
Yeah.
as a teenager. And I'm like, I mean, she's getting there, but like I do feel like she's still so like nice and trying to be good.
Yeah, something big has got to happen with her. And you and I've talked, outside of this, and based off just how popular Sophie Thatcher is getting in movies, I feel like they're gonna need to write something where Nat disappears in the past, like for
I
a
could see
little
her
bit.
going to live on her own for a while and then we get like an episode, but like, fuck, I really hope that doesn't happen. But like, it could actually make sense for the story because like it would help us kind of like transition to, I don't know, where she is as an adult because she's just a lot different. But I don't know. There's just a lot of really great shit happening, but I'm like, a lot of it is like relationship based. I love Jeff in this episode, him and Shauna, and like dealing with fucking Lottie showing up. I would hate that. I'd be like, get the fuck out. Like Callie's, of course, like I just want to learn about shit, so she's gonna like rope them in. But I was like, Lottie showing up here immediately terrible intentions. I know
Yeah.
she's after the daughter after like how crazy she was about the baby in the past timeline. I'm honestly surprised Shauna didn't put up more of a fight. Because I'd be like, no, no, no. Now she's after this baby. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, so the way they explain it is how far the present timeline, what's the time skip between
25
the
years.
no, the time skip
Oh,
from season 2 finale to
I feel like
this.
it's
I think they said
pretty,
like 6 weeks.
like something, or like less than that, even.
Yeah, because Lottie went to an asylum. They took her whole pyramid scheme and
Uh-huh.
property. They took all of that, but then
I
she
mean,
was
she's still
apparently
gotta have
able.
fucking money. You know what I mean? I think she's lying about having no money and showing up at Shauna's house to guilt her into letting her stay.
True. I mean, I just loved hearing Jeff and Shauna keep saying the chronic. That was
Yeah.
the funniest thing ever.
Their whole
Are you
interactions were
smoking the
great.
chronic?
You have to stop saying that. And like his whole thing of like, our daughter got suspended for throwing guts. Like he's like just so like, what the fuck is happening? Honestly, I feel really bad for Jeff because he's been through a lot, but it feels like it's never ending. And I honestly they think like whoever said that season one, or sorry, not season one, but like the teenage timeline is Midsommar and the adult timeline is Santa Clarita Diet is a genius because that's exactly right. He's like Timothy Oliphant's character, but he really loves her and he sticks by her throughout the whole thing. I don't know. She's a lot sweeter than Shauna. Like it's not like she turns into like a zombie who is like the living dead who needs to eat human flesh. But like
Yeah.
she's her best self now. And it's really funny because then he's having to help her clean up all the dead bodies as like the non-zombie person and like, oh my God, and like dealing with all the disgusting shit. And so it's like very, very similar to like Shauna and Jeff vibes. And Van, the actress, is actually their daughter on that show, so it's just like like even funnier. But it's great how like I kind of enjoy the comedic tones in the adult thing, but
Hmm.
like I do want more stakes, which I kind of feel like we're getting with the tease of like someone blackmailing Shauna or trying to reach out with that tape, whatever. We know Hilary Swank is in this season. Do you think that she is Melissa? Because spoiler alert for the very end of the season 2 or episode 2, but that kiss between her and Shauna with the knife at the throat, which great scene because I was not even expecting that and I loved it. But like,
The best kisses are at knife point.
I mean, I
You
was
know,
like, this girl
speaking from personal
braves.
experience.
I would have thought like just leaning my head forward, she would have sliced my throat. I mean, this bitch is crazy. I would not be surprised. And so the fact that happened, I was like, okay, I like this for both characters, but like that is it Melissa in the current timeline then who's sending this stuff and stalking her and leaving the phone in the bathroom and like all this shit? I don't
Th-
know.
that was the impression I got with how they played those
The scenes
those
intercut.
timelines like back and forth is that it's maybe Melissa's not the one that's blackmailing, but Melissa is clearly trying to get in touch with Shauna.
Shauna.
And Callie has that tape that was sent, but we don't know
Damn
what
it,
was on
bitch,
the
just
tape.
listen to it. Yeah. Well, so what's interesting is that like I've been thinking about this because we talked about it, and this will open up a bigger discussion point. Unless you wanted to say anything else here, but I was thinking like let's get into Coach Ben because
Oh,
that
I'm
guy's
ready
still
for
fucking
Coach Ben.
around. He's like a big discussion point. But I feel like last season we were both like pretty much like, okay, yeah, he burnt down the cabin because of the way they edited it, right? And the
Yeah.
way that they shot it with the matches, and he's watching Natalie become the fucking queen, and he's like, oh God. But then the more that I think about that, and after watching the first 2 episodes of the season, I'm pretty positive that Ben did not do it. I know he could be lying when Mari asks him when he catches her in the pit, which is great because then she's pit girl, like a nod to the fans, pretty cute. But I feel like he is just I don't know. I feel like it was just a misdirect, which is crazy. So that's what I'm wondering about with Melissa. Is that could be a misdirect. Like, I don't know. Because now am
Interesting.
totally in the opposite camp with Coach Ben. I think he survived the whole thing, and he's the only one that makes sense to be blackmailing them now because he's the
Yeah.
only one who didn't do anything, and they all
Yeah.
did shit.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that he is still alive, you know, like even though he lost his leg in the first episode, he's
He was
survived
like a
everything.
goner. The biggest twist is for him to survive all the way through the adult timeline, but it's like I feel like it has to be a secret because or else
Yeah,
they would
like
be like that motherfucker is the first suspect.
yeah, like I feel like if he died, it wouldn't be I don't know, it wouldn't be like that big of a deal. It'd be like, yeah, this is overdue. So yeah, like I've been thinking that also. Like I feel like he somehow survives through everything, but he doesn't get rescued, and he somehow gets back separately from all the girls when they get rescued, and that's why he is doing this.
Yeah.
It also could be Dark Tie, who knows?
I know, but
But
I also like I so that's my thing is I don't think he would burn down the cabin because like when I was thinking about it, I'm like, well, the reason that he's like leaving them is because he doesn't want to like be a part of it because he doesn't agree with the way that they're murdering people and shit. So why would he murder all of them? That's like totally against what he's fighting for. He's like, I say I want to be like, no, this is not what we do. You guys are animals. And he's like, I'm gonna lock you in and burn you. Like that would be the exact opposite of what lesson he's trying to teach them. Maybe he locked them in just so that they wouldn't come be able to find him right away or like get out. But like I kind of feel like Dark Tie did it. I don't know about you, but I kind of feel like she might have fucking done that shit. She's chaotic as hell.
Dark Tie could be literally anything. She's the biggest wild card in
She
the
almost
show.
walked herself off the cliff in that one episode, like almost just killed her and Ty together. And so I'm like, this bitch is not always looking out for her best interest. Clearly, I feel like she just does some chaotic shit. She's like the Joker, like fucking Heath Ledger. Like you're like,
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck you're just doing shit to do shit.
The thing that with Ben though that I was I felt like it was the creators just kind of laughing at the audience a little bit was Ben found a fucking hatch, and I'm like, here we go, lost.
I was like, if this is like lost, I'm gonna be pissed. But it makes sense that this guy that they were saying who was like a doomsday prepper who had the cabin, that he would have these things
Yeah,
buried
the
every so
stash.
often. The stash with everything, which I was like, it is pretty convenient, but like, man, good timing. Who knows the last time this motherfucker ate? I can't even believe he's lived this long to even like dig up that whole thing. And then it also makes more sense of like, okay, so that's how the girls end up with the pit that they use for Pit Girl from the very first
Oh,
episode. Because everyone was like, did they build that fucking hunter's trap themselves? And so I wasn't sure if like maybe there's something in the like cave or whatever where Javi stayed and where Ben is now. If like maybe there's some shit in there that's telling him where to find these things or some sort of a like maybe a stash of some documents or some shit. I don't fucking know. Or there's
well,
some weird person there that he's talking to because we don't even know.
yeah, the last thing we see of Ben is him kind of talking to himself while
Arguing.
Mari's drinking some hot cocoa.
Which has
But
typically been an omen of death on this show. I'll tell you that. Whenever, like, I
mm,
think that's like what they give Kevin, the officer, in last episode. Walter gives him some hot chocolate and then he dies. And then that's what Jackie gets when she's having her vision before she dies. She's like, hot chocolate? How? Exactly like
ah,
Mari. But I'm
good
like,
pickup.
thank you. Well, I'm just like, I'm just looking for any reason that they're going to kill that bitch because she's so annoying. That's why one of my favorite parts of these episodes was Ben just being like, Mari, shut the fuck up. Just do it. God damn it. I don't care what you're saying. Just shut up.
So the pit and him finding it, I didn't take that as convenient or that like he knew where it was.
Like he stumbled on it.
I felt like he stumbled on it because the snow is gone. So
Yeah.
like as he's walking around, he actually like is hitting the ground.
Hmm.
Now, that's how I took it, but there's the constant question of is this stuff happening or is there supernatural stuff happening? And He could have been guided to it.
Do you feel like I felt like last season I was like they're kind of leaning into it, but it's still pretty mysterious. And this season, I felt like the first two episodes, I was like, they're pretty much leaning into the supernatural aspect because like Travis hears screaming when he's on
Yeah, the
shrooms,
shrieking.
and then they all hear the shrieking. So many people online though are like, these kind of animals make noises like that. It's like mating season, blah blah blah. So I'm like, cool, maybe it's not, but it did feel like it was like weirdly timed. But also, again, I don't know how I feel about it going supernatural. Like maybe a little bit, but like I don't want there to be an actual spirit in the cave that Ben's talking to. Like that was Javi's friend. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I kind of
I
would
mean,
prefer if it's just them being insane and thinking that because like Lottie is like off her rocker always, but like I feel like this season teenage Lottie has turned it up to 11.
yeah.
Like she's
I
insane and like torturing poor Travis.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it all comes down to like how do they land that? Because like what I don't want is the Lost situation where they give us an episode that's a flashback to like the beginning of time and you have good and evil as characters
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
island and it's
Ruins
like
it.
we've been fighting over this for a millennia and it's like cool,
Yeah. Cool. Well, it
sweet.
doesn't have anything to
Like
do with us. Pretty lame.
so like I hope it's not that, but I mean, who knows? With the thing with Yellow Jackets is that I'm always a little nervous watching it because I feel like every season we have all these questions and we get a couple answers, but for every answer we get two more questions. So
Yeah,
like it's always
that's true.
compounding the list of questions.
That is true. I feel like this season, if we don't get some more answers, I will feel a little bit like they're doing that thing. Like, I feel like I just, Quentin Tarantino said it best that like all TV is soap operas. So it's like when they don't reveal enough so that they can keep you hooked, I'm like, I don't care about the stupid things you have to plug in here. I want the straight up story. But they've said it's not like a show that's going to go on for like 10 years. You know, this is going to
Yeah.
be like a finite story, also like with the teenagers. But for me, hopefully, like that's what my dream of the show is that the final season is like the teenagers post rescue and the adults back in the wilderness.
Hmm.
I think that's where it'll end up because I do feel like maybe end of this season or maybe next season, I've heard rumors that we might get a third timeline of like post rescue for the teenage timeline. So it's like,
Mm.
so we might be getting it to a point where I'm like, that might be to like help us, switch from just being in the wilderness to being post rescue. So I
I mean,
imagine
that
that might
would
be the plan.
That would make sense because if they did a third timeline right after they were rescued, like there's a lot of questions that are going to be answered just like
Exactly.
immediately from that.
So I felt
So it
good
would
knowing
make
that kind of
sense if
stuff.
they built up to that.
Like I wonder I'm hoping that we'll get a little bit of that this season. I think we will. And I'm fingers crossed because if we don't, I'm gonna be like, man, they really are just like stretching this out. But like honestly, the funny shit or whatever that people might be like, that doesn't add to the story. Like Walter and Misty and this their whole thing. And her specifically in these two episodes. It's just peak Misty and my favorite. I didn't know that I needed her like to continue. It's like very much in line with like that episode where she just like comes in and like does all of Natalie's coke in season one. And like
Hmm.
I feel like they didn't give her a moment maybe like that last season. And now it's like drunk Misty is something I had like wasted, blacked out Misty is something I did not
Amazing.
know that I needed. And it was just the best. Like when she shows up at Shauna's house to hang out, and then like Lottie's there, and she's like, "Is this an intervention?" Like,
Yeah.
she's like, "Did Walter call you about my drinking?" She's like, "Do you have a drinking problem?" She's like, "I don't know. Do I?" Like she's so suspicious, and I'm like, I just love this because then when they come home, it's like she's passed out. Since like her Callie drugged her, she's like passed out on the counter next to the booze, and she's like, "Oh my God, Misty!" And just the way she pukes all over the counter, and she's just like, "Do you have a drinking problem?" Like, Jesus, I didn't think you were serious. So good. And then even Walter, like I still am in. I love Elijah Wood always, but like I'm still liking their relationship. I just find it funny that Misty's annoyed with him acting exactly like her.
Yeah.
But what do you think? Do you have like people think he has nefarious intentions? Like he's up to something. Like he knows, or he is maybe part of the blackmail,
I it
or
it
related
could
to
be.
someone maybe.
It could be. I don't know. Like
I just want him to be actually like into Misty And that's like, I just feel like Misty gets shit from everybody. And of course, she's a crazy little weirdo, but like, he's exactly the right person for her. So either he's too good to be true or he's not. I'm just hoping. But like, I love how much he's trying to be there for her. And I feel like her kicking him out, the last thing that she said to him, I don't know if you got this idea, but the way she was like, you can't relate to our trauma bond, basically, of like, we went through a life and death experience and we have a trauma that, you'll never understand. So like, the way he was like kind of like thinking, it felt like, I don't know, the way his eyes were looking, it felt like he was working it out in his head of like, now she just gave him an idea that he has to stage some sort of life or death situation with her so that they can build that trauma bond together, just like she has with them.
Yeah.
Either that or he
Yeah.
really is gonna like go murder his Misty and maybe even just kidnap her and keep her prisoner just like she used to do. But like I do feel he's kind of murderous, so I hope it doesn't go that way. I do feel he might kill someone else in some sort of life and death scenario to make them like bond.
Well, I mean, he was Jeff's get out of jail free card.
That's what I'm saying. He
And
really helped out, but like also they in last season, they mentioned that like serial killers love puzzles in the same episode that like you see him in his fucking creepy ass rich ass mansion and he's doing the biggest fucking puzzle I've ever seen on this giant table. And he's listening to Sweeney Todd about a murderer. So like I feel like maybe those are all just red flags that they're throwing at us to try and distract us from like his beautiful blue eyes and how actually helpful he is. But I don't know. I hope for the best, but I love Walter and I really am curious if he's going to go all out and do some shit to try and make her feel the way that he feels.
yeah, like I it's like a pretty standard thing in TV shows is like the new person that gets added to a show is an immediate suspect of whatever is going on in the show. And I do love the idea of just him and Misty having this quirky kind of romance that's
Yeah.
revolves around this traumatic thing that they're both interested in, but he actually has just good intentions. It's just like a coincidental sort of shared enthusiasm sort of thing.
The thing
But
about like I was browsing the Reddit boards on like the meetings are murder unless they're about murder and I was just like that is a great subreddit name. I don't know
yeah,
if that's real, but I want to join.
but I mean, if they introduced like in the past any sort of like other people sort of thing, like
Hmm.
other than the initial survivors, he'll be my suspect number one of being connected to the past.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I've heard a lot of people say that like they kind of hinted towards the end of the episode that the person like stalking Shauna, leaving the phone, and that she calls and asks for the manager, which was great, to figure out who it was. They make it seem like it's Melissa, the like backwards cap girl who kisses her at the end of the episode. But like, what if like some people have said maybe even Hillary Swank 'cause nobody's said who she's playing yet, but like maybe it could be a situation where like someone had initially survived, but then maybe they died, or like the Yellowjackets came after him because they thought they were gonna talk, or like whatever.
Mm,
So, but died post time like rescue, and that like maybe they had told their sibling everything, or like left them some shit to find that out and come and blackmail them. Because if it's someone from the actual team blackmailing at this point, I'd be like, okay, cool. Go ahead and tell you guys that you did the same shit. So what is this gonna solve? Except for
yeah,
we're all gonna get like in trouble, right? Or whatever the fuck they would do. I don't think you get in trouble, but like people would judge you even more. So I don't know. I just feel like it has to be someone that's either related to someone who was in the thing and knows what they did because they have to know about the symbols. So it has to be somebody who made it home to communicate this message. I'm
yeah.
imagining. And like I imagine a scorned lover might be the kind of person who maybe Shauna would have snuffed out or something
Hmm.
because she chose Jeff. I don't know. I'm just spinning here, but these are things I'm thinking about.
Yeah. I mean, I think the character I'm most interested in this season is actually Callie.
Yeah, I really enjoy Callie a lot already. I
Like,
like the parallels between like her and Shauna, especially teen Shauna. It's like them both like picking or going fighting back when someone's like a bitch or picking on them or whatever in
yeah,
two different ways. But Shauna's not far off because she's getting pretty rough. So I
yeah,
feel like, both of them shoving the food in the face and like that kind of stuff, dumping the intestines. It's like very cool to kind of see. But I'm like, damn, how is she? Is she gonna be able to like is she picking up on the trauma that they're all sharing and now she's like growing from it? Because it's almost like now I'm worried she's gonna turn out like Lottie and get all fucked up and crazy.
Yeah, and I love how she is trying to uncover what happened. And I feel like there's going to be a reveal this season that doesn't happen from us seeing it in the past timeline. It's going to happen from Callie learning, and then she's going to say it, and then it will cut to the past timeline where that thing happens. Because I was
Cool.
thinking about it, and I'm like, in the
I like
in the
that.
in the two seasons that we've seen so far, we've never actually heard the adult versions say anything specific about what happened. We
Mm-hmm.
learn everything through just the past timeline. So, yeah, like they have not spilled the beans on anything. We know
Mm-hmm.
just because we're watching a show. So it would be interesting to see Callie, drugging Misty so that she could talk to Lottie and like getting Lottie to spill the beans.
I feel like Misty would honestly be proud of her for doing that because that's a very Misty move. She does that kind of shit. So I thought that that was pretty great and love how fast that worked. Because, yeah, but then I'm like, man, having Lottie around, this is just super dangerous. Because, like, in the teenage timeline, she's just as dangerous. Like, I kind of feel like the way she was treating Travis and shit, it's like exactly why he becomes like a drug addict later when they get
Hmm.
back. Like, this is like her fault. So I'm like, this bitch. And then the way that, like, I mean, I really felt like bad because Aquila gives him the duck and then he's so happy. And then it's like, he's like, oh, yeah, no, they said that actually the Woods want to talk to her. And he like just pawns her off to Aquila, who just helped him. So I'm like, oh, poor Aquila, man. She's going to die now. I bet you she's going to be pushed too far. I'm wondering what Lottie does because they all seem to pretty much hate Lottie when they get back, it feels like, because she really gets out of control, I feel like, at the teen timeline. And she's getting there now as an adult, which is
Yeah.
creepy. So I feel like she was still pretty normal last season
Yeah.
until the end, and until she wasn't.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting.
There's just so much good shit to think about for like coming up this season for both timelines and like, because then we'll be getting to the final winter after this for the teenagers. I'm imagining we're not gonna get there yet, but like, I think it's really interesting what you said about them revealing some stuff that from the adults' perspective, because I'd love to hear them get into the specifics. I understand why they're pretty much vague with most other people, but like when they're talking together, they should really be more specific.
yeah. Well, before we get into unanswered questions, I just want to say I was so happy that I got um, a Melanie Linsky just talking shit to people, seeing her we got
That
two things. We
fucking
got
dinner.
Melanie Linsky talking shit, and we got Jeff talking furniture. And
Yeah.
those are like my two favorite things. And when they're like, Jeff, does your furniture fuck? And he's like, oh, yeah, my furniture fucks.
It's like it's a
Like,
regular fuck fest. Just the way that Jeff was trying so hard, and then those guys are just total assholes. And like I just felt like they were just being the worst kind of bros. And I loved the whole thing with Shauna being like, "Wait, so what did your dad do?" Because they're like, "We're self-made men," and it's like,
yeah.
"Oh, he did hotel real estate just like you. That's crazy! Like two self-made men back to back. Wow." And it's like, okay. And then just like, yeah, her calling him like a nothing little boner and all this stuff, and like, you literally don't matter. I was like,
Like, you
it
don't exist.
you don't exist. It reminded me very much of like the way that Jeff kind of told off Jackie's mom in season one when he was like, Jackie was great, but so was my damn wife. And I was
Yeah.
like, it felt very much like she was doing that 'cause she was like, you don't deserve his furniture, like whatever. Even though Jeff was like, this is the most important thing to me. I kind of feel like those guys basically said right before she went off on them that like they weren't gonna buy. Like they were just like
Yeah.
fucking around, entertaining the idea, but they were like probably not serious.
Yeah. They were definitely talking down to him. They're like, oh,
Yeah,
you're
so it's
small
like,
scale,
yeah,
things
you're
like
stuck in
that.
small time shit and like, we're entertaining you. You're really putting on a show for us. It was just like the worst. Like I'm really glad that she did, but also like from Jeff's point of view, I feel bad because he's done a lot for her. And like it's almost like she's kind of being very selfish as an adult in the way that like Jackie was back as a teenager.
Hmm. I don't know. Maybe it's just me being a Shauna simp, but if she told me that I don't exist in that exact tone, I would take that as a compliment.
I don't know. Yeah, I guess you don't want her to know that much. If she knows about you too much, she's gonna be coming for you.
All right. Well, overall, how happy are you with first two episodes?
Extremely. Great music, great needle drops, like everything expected. I love the like
Glycerine. Love
that's what
that
I'm saying.
song.
I know. I'm actually like kind of, even though like Ty is the worst wife of all time, and who knows the divorce, whatever's going on. At least those two are out of there. The wife and the
Yeah.
kid. Those two are safe, hopefully. But I'm kind of happy her and Van are together. But overall, yeah, I felt like these were great. They kind of set the stage for a lot to come, and like I'm really glad that they involved Ben a lot more than I expected. I felt like he was going to be someone that was like held off. I kind of feel
Hmm.
like Hillary Swank is going to be that way instead, but I don't know. I'm kind of ready for anything at this point, and I'm ready for shit to get really fucked up, even though like they have all of the like resources and supplies in the world right now.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get into questions that are still not answered that we would like some answers to. And we get our first question of this season added to the list of what's up with Ty and the server getting killed
Yeah,
when like is this some Final Destination stuff?
I was
Like,
thinking the exact same thing, and I'm like, is death just coming for these bitches like that? Is that the great? That would be a great twist. I would love for this to be Final Destination, Yellowjackets. But I don't think that's where it's going. However, I agree with you. That is now one of my big questions because I was like, was that like I was wondering this at the end of season two? I think we talked about like Van wanting to do the hunt and all that shit all of a sudden, and it felt like maybe a sacrifice for her cancer. But then like it seemed like Natalie died for like Shauna. So if we're thinking about it, she still needed that sacrifice technically.
yeah.
So it sounds like, I mean, honestly, that waiter running out there for that, it seems like they just had appetizers and drinks. I'm sure it's expensive, but also like, dude, just pay the $100. It's not worth getting hit by a car and dying on the street just for a fucking tab. It just feels like a lot. Like he kind of had it
Yeah.
coming. But I do feel like maybe that was just like repentance because I'm wondering like how much Dark Tie or yeah, Dark Tie is like taken over. And I felt like when she takes the matches from the restaurant and puts them in that like candle at that weird fucking like
Hmm.
funeral, like whatever memorial, I was like, is this like a sacrifice? What the
Yeah.
fuck are these bitches up to? Because I honestly was like, I'm kind of just feeling a little something from like Van and Ty, both in the teen and adult timelines. Like they're up to something
Yeah.
that we don't know. Like that's why
Yeah.
I kind of don't think it's Ben that burnt down the cabin. I think it might be Dark Ty and maybe Van, or maybe just at least Van knows, and maybe the regular Ty doesn't know.
Well, and speaking of the cabin, I'm how are we going to get answers about the cabin now that the cabin's gone? So like cabin daddy, cabin
Ah,
daddy's daughter, man with no eyes,
I'm
like
curious about Man with No Eyes, but like I could really, I don't care about Cabin Daddy, but I'd also like to know something. But I feel like they've only shown him that once in Jackie's vision, so like. I don't really know. I know there was planned for like a bonus episode. Maybe they'll release it at some point, but like I still think I'm way more interested in the man with no eyes because
yeah.
he always shows up as somebody dies. Like he showed up when the waiter dies. And it felt like,
Oh, was that
what is it?
who Ty saw was the man with no eyes?
Yeah. And then she's like,
Oh, okay.
nothing's wrong, and then makes out with fucking Van. And it felt like very similar to like Dark Tie when she would kiss her really hard.
Yeah,
Like
well, and
maybe
then there's
Dark Tie and Van have been in fucking contact. I don't know how Dark Tie knows how to do anything other than sit in a tree and eat dirt, but apparently she does.
it's true.
Maybe she can work
Well,
on the phone. She knows how to call.
then there's also the dripping noise that they
Yeah,
heard in the
that's just
cabin.
Mari being a dumbass. Honestly, I could care less. She's just insane, and I hope she dies soon. If she doesn't, like, I think what the best thing for Ben's storyline would be is the fact of like, if he kills her, like, because it would go against everything he believes. But like, if he lets her go, she's going to go back to them and tell them where he is or that
Yeah,
he's nearby and they will find him. So he's like, but if he keeps her, they're gonna have to split all the supplies that he has. So he's like, in a pickle. I kind of feel like the best thing for his story would be that he has to kill her.
yeah.
But maybe he
He
doesn't.
go
Maybe he
he
gets taken prisoner and then they do whatever with him.
he goes full villain.
But not like even full villain, but like maybe they push him to that limit because he doesn't have a choice. I think that'd be a really interesting thing, and that's one of the reasons he's like so out for revenge now.
I did like in the opening of season two when she's like, my leg, I think it's broken. And he's sitting there and he had to have just been thinking, I have one leg, so I don't care
I
about
know.
your dislocated knee.
He's like, it's
Like,
not broken, bitch. It's like, just fucking do it, Mari. And I just love that she doesn't get any sympathy because she's been a bitch since day one. She's always rude to everybody. That bitch had it coming. Okay. She deserves to be pit girl or worse. I guess I wasn't sure. He kind of won me over when he was like helping her out. And then all of a sudden he ties her up and I was like, ooh, I like this more. Where's this going?
yeah.
I'm glad that he has a prisoner. I'm curious to see where that goes a lot. That's like my number one like wilderness thing right now.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm so excited for like Natalie versus Shauna, which it looks like it will be building to. Um,
Mhm.
so that maybe will get us with two different tribes. Maybe Natalie will be banished and she'll have to go be out with Coach Ben. Who knows? Or maybe Coach Ben will be fully insane and feral by that point. He'll just try to murder her, and so then she's off by herself. I mean, who knows? Anything could really go.
Yeah. Still don't know anything about the symbol.
No, but we might not ever.
I mean, feels weird if we never learn what it actually is.
Yeah, it seems like a final season thing, though.
Yeah.
That's like a who's
Um,
Jon Snow's mother kind of thing.
yeah, that's true. Let's see. My big question still is how did Lottie kill that bear? The bear just walks up to her and just stabs it in the head.
I mean, it felt like he was maybe sick, and he was like, "Oh, these are nice people, maybe." And then he's like, "What the fuck?" He's like, "Stab him in the head," you know. Like it seemed like he was just too tired to fight back, but he was like, "What the fuck, man?" And then he died. So
Ugh. Do
yeah.
you have any other unanswered questions?
I feel like a lot of things I think are gonna be like eventually like end game stuff, like Misty destroying the black box. That'll come
Yeah.
up later. Maybe it comes up early and then we have all the aftermath of that for like next couple seasons. I'd be curious about that too, but I would love to see Misty like finally like in the adult timeline being like, no, you guys are fucking dicks to me. Granted, once they find out about the black box, they'll be like, I don't know if we were enough dicks to you. So I don't know how long that would last, but I would like to see them be like, I don't know, the way that Walter explains it, I was like, you know what? He's not wrong. He might be trying to separate her from the pack, but like he's not wrong at all about
Yeah.
how they treat her. But I'm just enjoying Misty this season as an adult and then loving the fact that she's like, I'm not allowed in like, Natalie's council right now. So I feel like it was just so Misty to be like survival instinct. I'm gonna go tell Shauna and like I'm gonna get close to her. Because I think Shauna's gonna be Antler Queen for like winter when they're doing like the fucked up shit. Like I think that's Shauna in charge.
You mean like when they get to Pit Girl?
Yeah.
Okay.
There
So,
might be two different clans and that's where Pit Girl comes from, but I do feel like Shauna's gonna be leading the fucked up violent cult, whatever
oh,
it
for
is.
sure.
So I'm
Shauna's
excited
the
for
final
that.
boss.
Yeah.
So I saw a theory on Pit Girl that I thought was interesting, and it kind of lines up with what you were saying of potentially there being a third timeline. And the theory simply is that the opening scene with Pit Girl is not actually fully in the past.
Like it's a modern day thing.
Like there's some like there the Pit Girl sequence is essentially we are seeing a past and there's also a present day ritual that's happening and they're cut together.
Hmm. But they show Misty in that scene and she's a teenager.
Well, that I think that's what they're saying. Like, Misty's the only one that we see in that, but like
Hmm.
everyone else is masked up, and so they're saying it's a cut of them doing the ritual in the past, but then the third timeline would actually be
Like they
for
went back?
like they go back, or maybe they just go out in the woods and do it. I
I
don't
don't
know.
know.
It
That's
it was a it
crazy.
was not like a it wasn't a Reddit thesis of here's why I think this is. It was just an interesting idea of like, oh, that would be interesting because yeah, that's the biggest unanswered question is who's Pit Girl?
Yeah, but I also feel like that's one of the things that they're gonna be like, it's nobody. Like it's not any, it doesn't matter who Pit Girl is. It more matters of like, I think the cooler twist would be that like that's when they get the fucking rescue people that show up. It's like Pit Girl. Like,
Hmm.
or maybe in a first attempt to rescue and they have to kill them all because they can't find him like that. You know what I mean? I don't
Yeah.
know. I'm thinking like that would be more interesting because I also feel like they just used some random extra in that scene, so it wasn't like they were planning who it was. So I don't think we should like worry about what she looks like or who she is, whatever, because it makes sense for it to be Mari, like if it's gonna be anyone. But like
And
I like the idea. I think if they go back though, they'll be adults. But I did hear a crazy one. But you say what you were gonna say first.
I was say the hair color thing, that's easy to explain. Like the part of the ritual could be like them having to
Wearing the
wear,
scalp of another girl.
yeah, like that, like
Fuck, man.
the first girl that gets put on the hunt. Like I know Natalie was actually like the first one to draw the queen,
Hmm.
but
You're saying they got
whoever
Javi's
ends
scalp
up,
scalp
if
somewhere?
it's Mari, like they end up, if she's the first true hunt, they kill her, they scalp her, and then it's part of the ritual. You have to wear
Her
that whole
head.
thing. That's an easy
Fuck.
way to
I
explain
like
that.
that though. That could be cool. I heard a great crazy one, but like a lot of people are like, this isn't the dumbest like thing I've ever heard. Like it actually kind of could be, but it was like there was two pictures of like Walter and then Melissa, the backwards cap chick from the teen timeline, and they're both wearing like striped colored shirts and they're both having like the bright blue eyes and they have a dimple on their chin. So everyone was like, is Walter Tattersall not really his real name and maybe he's related to Melissa and this is
Like, did
some long con.
Melissa transition or, oh, just
No, no, no.
related?
Like, well,
Okay,
someone
okay.
did say maybe he did become, maybe Melissa became a man and is now Walter. But I was like, honestly, it could also be a sibling. That was another thing I heard was like, could be because they have the brightest blue eyes and then like the butt chin and like the fucking just the t-shirts. I mean, who knows? I don't know. I kind of feel like everything on this show is such a misdirect that like I'm just excited to read new theories and think about things, but like I'm honestly not sold 100% on anything yet because I just feel like anything could change. Except for maybe I really think Ben could be alive as an adult. That's the only thing I think really now. I'll be shocked if they kill him. And unless we see his body like ripped limb from limb, I'm not going to believe it. You
Yeah,
know? I'm going to be firmly in the camp that he's alive.
nice. All right, well, good huddle. We will see everybody next week for the Yellow Jackets team huddle.
Buzz, buzz, buzz.
Don't forget to like and subscribe. We out here.